Welcome to Magic Arcanum. I'm Ryan Gomez. Behind the scenes is Nicole Burdick, and we're so glad you're here because it's story time. Phyrexia, All Will Be One, has the Gatewatch undertaking a desperate infiltration mission in which they attempt to stop the Phyrexians from using a corrupted version of the World Tree to spread across the multiverse. It is an action-packed story, to be sure, and I will have the full recap ready for you soon, but I thought it would help if we set the stage a bit by taking a little tour through New Phyrexia, since we won't have a lot of time to cover that in the recap itself. So consider this a companion video, an appetizer, if you will, for the main course, which is mostly spaghetti. Before we set out to explore this oh-so-dangerous landscape, we need to get dressed. Enter into the AM. They have got an amazing assortment of graphic tees. Today, I'm hoping to appease Shieldred with my Skullbuster, but there are designs to match your favorite characters and spells from all over the multiverse. Promo code Magic Arcanum gets you 10% off, and that stacks with their bundle deals, which are basically t-shirt booster packs, if you think about it. Incredibly comfortable, tailor-fit, brain-melting designs. Friends, these are my favorite shirts, and I wouldn't dare show up for F&M or game day without something from Into the AM. Support the show by using the link down below and get yourself suited up before the All Will Be One pre-release. New cards deserve a new outfit, don't you think? Alright, now let's see what we can learn about a little place called New Phyrexia. A long time ago, a planeswalker named Karn found a desolate corner of the multiverse and turned it into his version of a perfect plane. He populated it with artificial life, styled in his own image, and there was a sort of pristine beauty found here in the place he called Argentum. Satisfied with his creation, Karn returned to exploring the multiverse and left Argentum in the care of Memnarch, who had a different vision for the plane. You see, Memnarch was corrupted by Phyrexian oil, which Karn had unknowingly introduced to his otherwise carefully sculpted masterpiece. Where did the oil come from? Well, Karn was created by another planeswalker named Urza, and Urza had used parts that had Phyrexian origins, which means Karn carried glistening oil within him all along. I mean, it's called glistening oil, but it seems to behave more like nanotech in a way. A single drop is able to infect virtually any known living organism, and then propagate itself while converting the host into a Phyrexian. The oil is the foundation of Phyrexian ideology. It is highly contagious and debilitating, and yet also remarkable in that it carries within itself the very essence of Phyrexian doctrine. Once you are infected, you feel compelled to spread that infection to others so the parasite can take root again. And that is what happened on Argentum. The plane's guardian, Memnarch, became infected and began to desire a spark of his own so that he too may walk the planes as his creator did. With no way to create a spark for himself, Memnarch instead tried to harvest one from other life forms, brought to Argentum through a technology called a soul trap. Over time, the landscape of the plane also changed considerably, and that was thanks to the presence of mycosynth. This was a sort of fibrous fungus that grew deep within the plane's core, and exposure to it caused the transplanted organic life forms to develop metallic plates and appendages. At the same time, it converted the plane's own inorganic metals into living tissue, which led to a diverse ecosystem, always trying to find a perfect balance between flesh and steel. The original Argentum was now unrecognizable, and the plane became Mirrodin, which served as Memnarch's spark breeding grounds. Eventually, Memnarch was brought down by an elf named Glissa and her companions, which included a goblin named Slobad and an iron golem called Bosch. But the removal of the plane's custodian had further unforeseen consequences. The soul traps were destroyed, which caused an event known as the Vanishing. This returned captured creatures to their native planes, but left behind their descendants. And those descendants now had to contend with the mycosynth, which was growing out of control in Memnarch's absence. It was the perfect petri dish. Lingering Phyrexian oil seeped into life across the plane, while mycosynth made it easier than ever to complete living organisms who were already half metal in most cases. Thus, we enter what I consider the third era of Argentum, presently known as New Phyrexia, a land where 5 praetors have ascended to the tops of their respective food chains. These 5 reshaped the land once again, suiting it to their grand purpose, the complete domination of Mirrodin and then the multiverse beyond. That brings us up to the present day, where Elesh Norn and her cohorts have settled in quite nicely and are using New Phyrexia as their base of operations as they prepare to spread their glistening oil across the blind eternities. They have turned their stolen world into a 9-layer bean dip of nightmares, and while each praetor has their own region of influence, it's Elesh Norn who truly rules them all. We'll start with the grand facade, the outermost layer, which is a Phyrexian sculpture garden. An erotic sculpture garden for some of you, I'm sure. Anyway, this is a fragile eggshell for all of the horrors lurking within, and it serves to remind the so far uncorrupted Mirrans that their days are, in fact, numbered. Nobody actually lives here. It really is just a spot for the Phyrexians to dump all of their oversized garden gnomes and block out the suns from reaching the original surface of the plane. That original surface is now called the Murex, and it has been mostly stripped for parts as the Phyrexians have used its mineral deposits and resources to build up the other layers of the plane. It's now a pretty desolate wasteland, and it's where most of the surviving Mirrans call home. Just beneath their feet is the furnace layer. This is the domain of Urabrask, the red praetor, the one often described as being actually pretty chill. The Mirran resistance has a presence here too, as Urabrask tolerates their existence, but it's still not a truce I would put a lot of faith in, personally. The next step down takes us to the Hunter Maze, a realm filled with metallic trees that cover the floor and sky, which makes navigation tricky, and that's before you add in Vorinclex, the green praetor. He believes might makes right, and so the maze is also teeming with apex predators, eager to devour any trespassing Mirran or planeswalker. If you survive that, you get to descend into the surgical bays, where Jin Gitaxias has built a constant surveillance state, studying your every move. Islands are surrounded by seas of glistening oil, many with labs running experiments on captured resistance fighters. Minds are tested along with bodies, leaving subjects begging for death. And hey, wouldn't you know it, waiting for you on the next layer down is the Dross Pits, a toxic swampland, but by no means your final resting place. Here you will find Sheoldred and her arena, a Colosseum-style fighting pit in which losers get stripped for parts by the winners, creating a constant reshuffling of bodies, all chasing greatness at any cost. Sheoldred is just one of several Thanes, which is a power structure unique to the black-aligned Phyrexians. They often try to overthrow each other, but they all still yield to Elesh Norn, or at least that's the case at the start of the All Will Be One story. Elesh Norn has her throne room on the next layer, and that's the Fair Basilica. Everything here is made from glowing white porcelain, mixed with blood-red capillaries etched into the walls and floors. It's gross. The praetors chosen are ossified and used as ornaments throughout the Fair Basilica. They're a constant reminder of the devotion demanded by Elesh Norn, and a preview of what awaits other planes should her vision for expansion become a reality. Growing just under the Basilica is the Mycosynth Gardens, which was the original core of Mirrodin. Elesh Norn forbids anyone from entering here without her express invitation, including other praetors. This helps the gardens act as a buffer between the rest of the plane and the lowest level, the Seed Core. Here we find the nursery for Realmbreaker, the corrupted version of Kaldheim's World Tree. Elesh Norn plans to use it to magically break through the blind eternities and create a network of branches that will allow Phyrexia to aggressively spread out into other planes. Thus, we have 9 different layers built to mimic the 9 spheres of the original Phyrexia, which I want to point out, none of the Praetors have ever actually seen. That's how good the glistening oil is. It carries within it a sort of institutional knowledge that subtly guides all Phyrexians towards their common goal of proliferation. And proliferate they have. The Phyrexians have taken control of almost the entire plane, from core to surface, with just a few pockets of resistance still standing, who I mentioned in passing earlier. Among them is Koth, a planeswalker who has been fighting for his people practically his whole life, and a woman named Melira, who is uniquely immune to Phyrexian oil. She can use her powers to heal others, though it is a difficult and time-consuming process, and your odds of survival are better the earlier she can reach you. That's why the Mirrans have done their best to create hidden tunnels and passageways between the different layers of the plane. They survive by being nimble, never staying in one place too long, and using their knowledge of the plane for whatever advantage it still brings. And they've got one other trick up their sleeve, which is Hexgold. It is rare because it's made from the plane's original hexagon-shaped Glimmervoid plates, treated with something called blink moth serum, and both of those are in short supply. But when used on weapons or armor, Hexgold gives the wielder some degree of protection from Phyrexian oil. It doesn't make you immune, but it can buy you time to win the fight and escape to see another day. Not that there's a lot of good places left to escape to. That's why the Gatewatch is working with Koth and the natives of Mirrodin to strike back at the Phyrexians and stop them from reaching other planes in the multiverse. Will they succeed? That's a story for another time, so you'll have to come back and hear what happens in Phyrexia All Will Be One in early February. In the meantime, make sure you check out Into the AM using my link down below and grab yourself something with drip that would make Elesh Norn jealous. Then like this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the great stories you'll only find here on Magic Arcanum. We'll see ya!